filming now. It may be just 180, but that's even better in some ways.
Yeah, there's no point in worrying about that.
Exactly.
Okay,
Right.
now, first of all, I mean, there's concept.
Just for our record, we're talking about maps on here, maps in space, how you open maps, what happens when you go from one place to another.
And the fundamentals of how the hell things work, what interface means in XR, VR, virtual space.
Yes.
That
thing.
So back in the early-ish 90s, OpenDoc, one of the really interesting things about OpenDoc, many things are there, but one of the really interesting things was it flipped the whole concept of tools and documents around, so it was back to front, so what we normally do. So we don't go into a tool in order to work on a document. And I have been wondering if that might be an interesting, helpful way of rethinking how we approach stuff in a VR headset XR space. Because we don't want to, I mean, we have our environment, our XR environment. And that brings its own challenges because you have no menus, no whatever. But then we're talking about how do we bring documents into that. And at the moment, what we generally think of when we click on a document on a Mac, Windows, we step into that environment. So the top of the screen for Mac, the menu bar becomes that tools menu. The top of the document window for Windows becomes the document thing. So it's like you go into your tool, which is a tad backwards, although we're all completely used to it now. It's like going into your typewriter in order to write. OpenDoc flipped that around and just said, no, the document, and you bring your tools and you apply in a sense, you apply your tools to a document. And you have an editing tool for editing text, or an editing tool for doing something with images or whatever. That's kind of going off at a tangent now from this, but I think the concept of not going into a complete environment, like you said a couple of minutes ago about going, when you click on a link, you go completely into another thing. You go from one web page into a totally different web page.
Yeah.
So how do we then make this make some kind of sense when we want to view, read and edit documents in a virtual space?
In a sense, what you're talking about is the way that we're looking at it.
Good.
But of course you have to be in one environment. But of course OpenDoc in a sense was a gimmick, and a good gimmick, but in the sense that it was just a very extensible environment. Right, with some default one. I remember meeting Don Norman, and when he said he said it was for marketing to decide what default tools there should be. I realized it's never going to work. Anyway, here, the thing is, having worked with the map for a long time and having ways to align things and all of that stuff, like you and I with Photoshop and Illustrator, we know all the keyboard shortcuts. Similar ones are in Author. It's still messy. It's still easier to have a column. Columns are great. And a substrate, a flat background is great too. So how do we use that and not lose the unique XR interactions is really, really interesting.
I do like the idea, which is kind of, to overuse it, the whole Minority Report thing, we just have stuff. And that's actually how I would quite like to work. I'd like to be able to say, okay, I'm working on this, or bring that, and now I'm working on that, we could put it over there, bring this thing forward, put that thing back.
Yeah, however, let's say, because we're primarily concerned with academics, let's say you're at a conference and you have proceedings with 30 papers and the conference has started. Right? It happens a lot, right? So this is one of those small information overload things.
Yeah.
So then you have 30 objects, so to speak.
Yeah.
To begin with, so you can't easily go through them, and I mean even in Reader here I want to be able to make it to you quickly, not interesting, but you will have lots of objects. And one thing I want to show you afterwards, I have an early prototype of a calendar that I've designed for XR, and it's super simple, it's ridiculously simple, because it's with a new medium, it's really hard to go far and not far, right? So for instance, the calendar is just a rectangle, that's all it is. It's just bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But that's fundamentally important, and I'll show you why that later. What you're talking about makes a lot of sense. I like it in a lot of ways. The Minority Report, move things. Doing that is really amazing. We have that working now. But the thing is, when you then have a set of objects, if they're all one thing, then you can do author map style, bottom right hand corner, so to speak, align, justify, all of that stuff. But you need a way to specify which items you're talking about.
Yep.
With a pinch mechanism, it's a little bit harder. Not just implementation, but also logically. And so that's one of the issues. And I think all of these issues are entirely resolvable. But I think the dialogue around them is really, really important. So for instance, let's say we're sitting in the same environment right now. And over here I have Sloan project. I need to be able to open that in a way that I see all my Sloan things. So it needs to be a hierarchical system where I'm now in Sloan world. So over here I have everything for the book, I have people here, over here is coding, all of that stuff, right? Like a huge desktop, but organized spatially because we have it. But what happens to the initial thing? That's one question that has to be resolved.
Like that?
Yeah, no, it can be, but
in the sense of sort of just creating section in old school terms, creating sections of screens, creating areas of space.
Yeah, no, areas of space make sense, but it's also okay. So this glass here sits on a substrate, so it's messy. For us as designers, if we're going to do photo shoot, we'll get rid of the half-turned glasses and all that. But this is a different kind of messy. Conceptually, that is a bit wrong for us for something to be in space, right?
Yeah.
It is not what we're used to. So once you have things in space, it becomes more immediate to us. So the notion of here is my Sloan thing, when I interact with that, I need to be able to say maybe that should go away. So maybe one thing we talked about, maybe you pinch and twist, right? So there are myriads of ways to do it. You pinch and twist, and then that means that goes away. But what does away mean? How do I then summon it again? We don't have an open save dialog box for XR. I think we as a community need to design one.
Yep.
It shouldn't just be a list, even though lists can be useful, right?
Back one thought before I forget. The idea of having you put something in space, you make an arrangement so okay, you've got your things are there, some of the things are there. Should they be pinned to you? Should they be pinned to the space?
It's currently all pinned to the space.
So why not allow optional one way or the other for different things?
Do we not have battery in this effing thing? No, I'm gonna have power. We're gonna continue this conversation. 1 second. Can I take power from your lap? Top.
Yes, I'm on 76%.
What? What's this 76?
76%.
Oh, yes. Sorry, that was quite confusing. I thought there was some technical reference. Okay. Oh, you are actually still recording, Mr. Little Thing. Sorry that I moved you. Okay, let's keep talking about it. It just, the screen went off. It's probably a preference that I've set.
Oh, the battery saving thing.
Yeah. Right. Yes. You were saying something amazingly profound.
Yeah, I wonder what it was.
You're talking about things relative to the space, relative to...
Oh, yes. So we currently have things pinned to the environment. So if I moved, I know we often think of, and even advise
Actually,
people...
can I close this because the fan is going a bit... Because that'll be picked up. Yeah, if we
Okay.
move.
If we generally sort of the advice is to people sit down when you're doing VR. But if it's in a known space, especially if it's XR.
What we have designed is standing primarily.
Right, okay, but in a single spot. But the standing actually makes this more sort of readily available. So I could move around and sort of say, right, okay, there. What if I have stuff over here? So I can have stuff pinned in space, but what if I want to have stuff that stays with me?
Okay,
Maybe a different
hang on.
twist, or-
I'm going to say the exact opposite of you and therefore be intelligent. Okay, this is cool because we like...
And Mummy's Poochie stepped on a snail.
Oh my goodness. It's nice to have a front. Sometimes it's good to have a full environment, but I think this is 100% agreeing with you. I could imagine opening a thing and then doing this, which means everything else goes over here, but this new thing is here.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same, but opposite of what you said, right? So choose.
Yeah.
Hey, guy. So what we are saying now is, building on what you said, choosing where something appears can be very useful because we have a hand menu, we have this ring menu that you help with, but the act of opening, like we can do something like maybe a twist and then the rest of the whatever was there goes away.
Yeah, what?
There you go. I'm recording this. Come and sit on my lap or nothing. But the notion of so to do what you suggested, you open it, but you keep it and you put it there. I like that. So the alternative, because in Starfire, you know the Starfire project. It was not. I don't know if it was a park, but one of these early labs. That was a flat table. So if you want to move something, you touch it and you move it. If you want to copy it, you touch it with 2 fingers. Let one finger stay and the other one move it. Now you have 2.
Okay.
That's not.
Right?
Limited in space.
But it was to copy, and then you can move it again. So that was just the
Right.
dividing thing.
So it's like this, and then you need to move it like over there, then you'll do another one. With
Exactly.
your fingers not like.
So that I think that's kind of inspirational within this paradigm of how the way you open something determines a lot about it, right? So we have,
Or the way you manipulate it. Yeah.
the gesture of opening, and this is what I've been trying to establish a dialogue around.
Okay, so this is you're saying there is something visible as a condensed form
Icon.
in some way. Yes.
We think of icon at desktop, icon and documents. We continue that mode of.
Right. I think it's wise.
So let's go through this again. So a pinch or tap, and then something like a twist or whatever makes everything previous go away. That's like a command click. You put not a command. It's whatever. It
the one that steps into it and hides everything else.
Yeah. A normal just tap.
Or open in full screen.
So a tap on an icon that represents a collection or a document opens in a default kind of size. So that's the most boring and messy. You may want to do that at times.
Yeah, quite often probably.
Yeah, quite
Just
often.
dot-
But if you do this and then you kind of slightly throw it to the side, it'll open to that side, so you can have a swivel chair or stand up and have different work areas. Perfect.
Right.
That's,
But what if you just want to move the icon?
oh, you just click and move it.
Right, that won't be the trigger to go.
Thank you. To make it explode or enlarge, we looked at several things like second finger. So you pinch it to select and then you do that.
Okay.
That actually works. It's not the most elegant.
I'm sure it works. It doesn't sound the most elegant. But
We also are looking into double tap. Click, move, and then double tap to keep that.
yeah.
So So then we have those modes, but then we also have the mode of when you move it, when you hold something, if you do this or that, it takes everything else to the side, following a sphere around you, and then you let go, and that opens and whatever somewhere else.
It sounds like a really fun way of interacting and possibly really useful, but only if you've got two working arms.
For what we're working on by default is a healthy individual in this context who is willing to invest a little bit of time to learn the system. Cut down versions, more accessible versions will be looked at. A lot of this will be probably doable by voice and so on as well.
I would like to see if there are good, right ways of designing sort of the core interactions so they can be done with a single hand, arm, whatever.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with that. I think that is a very good way of looking at it. And I mean, all of it can be done with one hand except for that. But I mean, I guess, you know, if you do that and you want everything else to go away, you can do something with your hand, like you can shake it up. There are all these things. And this is what I think we need in the community to have more dialogue around. I mean, we're just sitting here having fun, and it may be the best thing in the entire world, and there's a slight chance it might not be. But to go through these things, so that's kind of fun, and it relates to the issue of having the master map on here, and I actually think I should get rid of it. I think.
Remind me what the master map is.
It is a normal author document, except when you do the keyboard shortcuts, it opens in map view, not the right view. But what I could maybe do is if you call up master map, it opens the journal in the map view. So it's one document. Because also what I thought about arguing with you in the best possible way around the area on the left in the library, which initially is now in Reader is called the reading room. I really like that idea of putting a few books to the side.
I love it. It's only that I didn't understand it visually.
And because of the relationship with the Finder, I get it. I have to ask.
And other documents because of that.
I'll have to check with Bruce what he says. Get his sign off. So here's the thing. I'm thinking now, if I can build a library in author, right, and not just a dialogue, open dialogue, but a library where all author documents are listed.
Right.
First of all, I can list them by more interesting stuff. I can also have a writing room. So it means that whatever documents I'm working on are there, and then I just delete them when I'm not, my favorites. That is more akin to the Finder's left, isn't it? You hold something over there.
Yes. Yes, it's a customizable navigation. A way of getting to, well, in the Finder, mostly areas, but also potentially objects, documents.
Because the flow here in my dream and in the Sloan document is that you start with proprietary software if you want, like my own author and reader. Do whatever is good for this size. Then you clickety-click, put your headset on, and the right kind of either writing or reading or both documents are there. So it's the same document, same configuration, same logic, same highlighting, same everything, right?
Yep.
Which is why we're using different teams, so it works. Now, how you then structure this XR environment is, of course, the whole point. And when you talked about does things connect to the world or to you, so one thing that Fabian has done that's genius, do you know what billboarding is? Billboarding is when no matter where you move, the text faces you.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yep. Yes.
So he has this little bit awkward way of pinching something, but we made it so that the hand goes transparent when you pinch. But what he's done is when you let go, it billboards to your head. But
right,
it stays.
so when you grab it, it's sort of going.
No. It goes like it's relatively fine. It doesn't wiggle woggle.
Right. Okay.
But the point is, it billboards.
But when you let go, it does that.
No. It stays where it was. I meant the whole thing is billboard to you. But when you let go, it no longer billboards to you. So that means you can put thing here, perfect. Let go, and you move your head, right? Really elegant, and it's the kind of thing you don't need to think about unless you work in Excel, right?
How would you get it to billboard again?
Pinch it,
So,
and move it to where you want it.
so initially it is billboarded, but then what do I do to?
No. It's only ever billboarded when you have selected it and move it.
Okay, got it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, he was clever. I hope he won't watch this video. That was brilliant. Joking about the not watching part. So another thing that we're looking into is the physical table, even if you can't see it. So he has built a way where you have this yellow thing, and you move it down, and when it stops moving and let go, it knows it's there, a table now. It's going to look at having a keyboard on that, so at least we can physically touch something. Some people
Would that be an actual real keyboard? That
Bluetooth
sort of
keyboard
reads-
in the Vision does not allow to give input to WebXR. So that's ridiculous.
Hopefully that's for now.
Yeah, absolutely. But the way it would be, it's a virtual keyboard. So at least when you touch, you're not just in space, your fingers
Yeah.
touch something. Some people don't like tables, some people do, so it's an optional thing.
Typing is going to be a really difficult one to solve in any virtual environment.
It's not a big priority for us.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just saying as a more general thing. I mean, many years ago, I took the guts of a cheap membrane, sort of bubble, whatever it is, keyboard, took all the physical things out, had just the two pieces of plastic with the sort of separation, because I loved the idea of just making my physical desk have the keyboard just as part of the surface. And it was as close as I could get really cheaply and easily. And I started using it. Well, I mean, I got it working. Impossible. There was no physical
The feet,
feel, so my fingers would be drifting.
You know the laser keyboards you can have that are projected onto that.
Yeah,
They
I've
work,
got one, but
yeah.
same problem.
No, absolutely. But I'm thinking, even though it wouldn't solve the problem, people can have printouts with ridges or something. But that's not what does it.
But yeah.
So Fabian, we can manufacture keyboards. Cool. But so I don't actually care about text input that much. However, the organizing of
Yes,
the knowledge.
that's actually really good.
So one of the things is if you just have an exploded document, let's say all the data, all the metadata, all the semantics are there because you're creating it in our own environment, so we own it. We won't have to rely on importing.
What do you mean exploded?
Let's say we have this book.
Clarifying terms.
Yeah, so we have this book here, but then on the side I have all the references. And
Okay.
I have one instance per chapter.
Okay.
Right, so that's what I mean, like taking it and like an exploded diagram, not a violent explosion, right? So you can do that in two ways. You can do it by the semantics, by the metadata, so that already there is a frame that it just goes into any book. And then of course there's a secondary stage where you can, either the author or you can choose, no, that should be there, manually repositioning it, right? So how to do that and what is useful is going to be really, really interesting. One of the things, no, not yet, is to use the table, for instance, when you're reading. It's nice to have virtually projected onto a table so you can actually lean onto it, right? But then you shouldn't have to. So there are so many interesting issues with this. But how to open something? I think we made some progress in Julie's soft space. Julie, sorry, I always say his name wrong. You can move things around. He's got lots of floaty bits and all that stuff. But if you make a fist, then you move the whole space.
Right.
Nice.
So that versus that.
Yes, and I think two different hands or something. But I'm now becoming a little bit more comfortable with the kind of openings because of this, like you want it over there, and then I said the opposite, an equal value depending what you want. The Vision Pro that we're going to have a look at now, one of the things it has is widgets, so you can put like the weather on a wall. It sticks to things, right? It's perfect. When I take my headset off, sometimes I forget that it's not there. because we cannot in WebXR have AR, pass through, I think we should allow people to fake it by having some walls when they want, turn them on and off.
Mm-hmm.
So it means that some of these things open and go back. That's where they are. So an example would be, and thank you, this is brilliant. Imagine we're sitting inside a cube now, kind of thing, nice looking, whatever. This is my desktop, my default home space.
Right.
And the way I can toggle on the background, which it literally is separate from the work. So let's say over there is the Sloan stuff. It may be represented by painting, I don't know, it doesn't have to be boring. I activate that, and my preference is that now I am in total Sloan space. Forget all of that. But because that is my desktop, I can do like a wrist action or something to go back. Because it's a full environment. Okay.
Okay. Carry on.
Progress. I'm done. My head is full. It's so useful to have this conversation because it is we have 2 hemispheres, but when you have 4 hemispheres, you have so much more bouncing space.
Yeah. Especially when you miss and you go, oh, hang on, what? So you're talking about, containers, folders, which contain like the Sloan set of things. So to start with, you go into your default space. So then the question is, what is the standard way of representing a container, and what's the standard way of representing a content, a document?
Right now I don't care because we made great progress. However, it's really important in this environment that even the icon desktop metaphor holds. The icon should be really easily changing for what you want. It may be a preview, it may be this, it may be that, something we don't have on the desktop. And also the environment, it may be Disney. It should be whatever you want. We should of course work towards a...
That becomes, it's like the VR equivalent of wallpaper. Desktop backgrounds. It's the environment in which you are doing things. But in the AR, XR sense, that environment has depth. And then we should be making use of that depth.
One of the things I have from our conversation today is that, already I was doing a few flat things only, but from this conversation, sometimes you do not want depth. Definitely, it gets messy, and also it's kind of a maybe default space. Maybe you do want all kinds of floaty things and you're in the Milky Way kind of thing. Totally cool. But you should also be allowed to have a room.
Does artist come in?
Oh yeah. Wow.
Is any of this from the garden?
Well, this ice cream is that is yeah.
The ice cream from the garden?
Yes.
You have an ice
No,
cream
like
bush?
it's that.
We do have an ice cream bush.
No, it's because of the apricot, and we like.
Oh,